Welcome YouTube to my first chess analysis video. This is Daniel Miles, and I'm going to be bringing a lot more videos to you guys. I'm not going to spend too much time introducing myself. You can always just send me a comment on my channel page or just check out my channel, and hopefully that'll answer most of your questions. I want to get right into this game. This is a game that I played on instantchess.com against Zexor. I'm posting it because it's a strong knight game. I used mostly just my pawns and my knights in the first 16 moves and got my opponent to resign. So I'll go ahead and jump right into this. He played e4, played e5, he played d4, and I went ahead and took on d4 because usually I'm roughly about 1,300, 1,200 rating on Yahoo. Beginning chess players will usually just go ahead and take with the queen in this kind of situation, and that allows me to bring out my c6 knight and kick the queen and hopefully gain a tempo if it retreats back to d1. So that's what he did. I brought out my knight, and he went to e3, which I think is kind of a passive move. He didn't want to retreat to d1, which is a good idea, but I think if he would have moved to a4, if he would have moved to a4, this would have been a much better position for him, because then I could have continued with my development. He could have brought out his bishop, and now his queen is much more active. He has kind of like a pin here, and on this line here, pinning the knight to my queen. So his queen is on a good diagonal attacking my king, so I have to watch out there. And this seems a much better position for my opponent, but he did not play that. He played queen to e3. I brought out my knight. He brought out his knight, and I went on the offensive and went to g4. He decided to go to f4 with his queen, and I wanted to play pretty aggressive because he seemed like a passive player. So I went to d4 because if he goes ahead and he takes here, then I can give him a check, winning a pawn. He'd have to move his king, so he can't castle later on, and then I win the rook. So I win a pawn and a rook for two knights, because this knight is going to eventually be lost. But the fact that his king is more in the center, doesn't really have any pawns protecting him, and he's not going to be able to castle anytime soon because he moved his king, I would have enjoyed this position. So that's why I brought that out, not afraid of his queen taking my knight. He went bishop to d3, protecting the c2 pawn. I brought out my pawn to d6 to allow protection for this knight on g4. He went b3, and then this was an inaccuracy of mine. I went to g5. I thought that this would have moved his queen because this pawn is protected by my queen, but I failed to realize that his queen is protected by the bishop, and he can just go ahead and take this pawn here, and he wins a pawn, because if I go ahead and take back, he takes back with his bishop, and now his position is looking much better now. He has three minor pieces out to just my two pieces. He can castle queen side if he wants to. This c2 pawn is protected, so I can't give him a check and steal the rook. So he could have went and taken, but he did not do that. Instead, he decided to, sorry about that, go back to g3. And as soon as he did that, I saw that the only two squares that his queen are safe are here on g3 and here on h3. So I was thinking up a plan to try and trap his queen over here in this corner. Now I played d5, which I think is another inaccuracy, because he can just go ahead and he can take with his, sorry about that, he can go ahead and he can take with his knight here, winning the pawn, or he can take with the pawn. Either way, he can win that pawn that I just kind of fed him there. So a much better move would have been to continue with this attack on the queen. And when I went back and analyzed my game, I really don't remember why I played this move, which kind of just goes to show you that this probably wasn't the best move, or this was a bad move. In chess, you should always have a plan. Sure, in the beginning you're going to play your opening, but never mindlessly develop your pieces and then hope to find something later on in the game. You should always develop your pieces, and have some kind of plan in mind, like a queenside attack, a kingside attack, maybe you're going for a center. Have some kind of plan and develop your pieces around that. Your plan can always change, that's not a problem. But never just move a piece because it's your turn. Move because you have a plan, and move to better your position. So he played e5, pushing his pawn, and that's when I played h5, I'm sorry. Because now all I have to do is just push this pawn, and then the queen is going to be stuck and have to go to h3, and then I can move this knight out of the way and attack it with my bishop. So he played f3, which is wrong. He should have played h4, because this does not allow me to play h4, and it protects his queen. But he played f3 in hopes of kicking my knight, and I just went ahead and played h4. His queen had to move to the only square, and I played another wrong move. I've been reading a lot of chess books, and I've been learning a lot on the internet, and I've been trying to get into a certain mode of thinking where I can look at the board and I can look at all of the imbalances and see if I can make one of those imbalances work to an advantage in my favor. And I was too materialistic. I knew that if I went knight to f2, I would have won the queen. The queen wouldn't have been able to go anywhere. The queen would have probably taken my bishop to get the most for his piece. I would have taken back, and then his king would have taken my knight. So I would have won a queen for a bishop and a knight, which is clearly better for me, but at least he gets some kind of take back on that exchange. So I should have played that, and I saw this move, but I was being too materialistic and thinking of other things, and I went ahead and took on e5. Now, the only move I didn't see is the move that he played, of course, which was g4, which completely protects his queen now. So then I continued on, and I took his bishop with my knight on d3, and if he would have taken with the pawn, I can give him a check. He would probably move in. I would win the rook. His bishop would attack my knight. I could have taken another pawn right before my knight died, and then they could have taken back. And I understand that my pieces, none of these pieces are developed, but I won a rook for a knight, and I've won, I believe it was a pawn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I won 2 pawns. So this I think would be okay for me, because I mean my pieces are clearly able to jump right onto the game really quick, and his king is kind of in the center here, which isn't too good. So I could have went ahead with that, but that's why my opponent did not take on d3 with his pawn. He moved his king in to protect this pawn. So then I went ahead and I gave a fork to the rook and the queen. The queen moved in. I took the rook. The queen moved in, and then I pushed my h-pawn again. Now the queen is trapped, and the queen is going to have the knight or the pawn to move before it can become active again. The only square it's having any influence on is these 3 squares. It's attacking this square, which is being attacked by my square, by my pawn, and then it's protecting these 2 pieces. But that's pretty much it. This is a very, very bad position for the queen. So he went ahead, and this was just a blunder in the game. He took the pawn with his knight, so I just took back with my rook. He brought in his queen to attack my rook, and this is when I saw a tactic. The queen and the king are on on a rank, and if I play h2, the queen won't be able to go anywhere. The queen will either be forced to take on h2, or if it doesn't do anything, I'll just take the queen my next turn. Now, much earlier in the game, I saw this backward pawn on f3, and I left my knight here so that I could possibly take on f3, giving a check to his king. So in this position, it was very, very clear to play h2. The queen is forced to take, and then I can fork the queen and the king winning the queen, and this is where my opponent decided to resign. So chess is a lovely game. Obviously, I like playing it, but tactics can be found by trying to aid or force your opponent's pieces into certain squares where you then can take advantage of them. For example, that's why I played h2, forcing the queen to take, which clearly puts this king and that queen in forking range, which I can take advantage of, and this is when my opponent resigned.